I'm going to start a new project. Project is the thing that you're designing in SketchList. The minimum requirement is the name and the size. I'm just going to guess at 36. Width is maybe 60, and depth will be, I'm going to say 25. And there is the outline for our assembly. I receive emails occasionally asking if there's a way to, make this box disappear, because it's a container. It's what's holding all the parts, and it gives you visual feedback as to where you put what. You can, in fact, turn it off. If I right-click on the design area, I can say show unit box. We'll start. So the assembly is the container that manages all the parts of your design. And the advantage of using containers is that when you create a design, you can put all the boards necessary in here. And if you want to do something to all the boards at once, like move them 10 inches to the left, move this assembly to the left, or make it bigger or smaller, or make a copy of it, the assembly allows you to treat everything inside of it as one unit. I think that's the biggest advantage of the assembly. Questions are, how many assemblies do I need? It really depends. I'm going to make this out of one. I've seen people, I remember one woman did a dresser and she had hundreds of assemblies. I don't know why she did it that way, but she did. The logic of how you build is going to tell you how many assemblies. If I'm putting together a wall unit and there are 3 or 4 essentially cabinets, well, I put four assemblies. And getting back to the advantage of an assembly, I would just build out one of them as basic as possible, maybe just the fundamental carcass for the assembly, and then take it and make 3 copies, and I'd have the whole wall done. And then I'd go into each assembly individually and put in the face frame or doors or drawers or whatever else I need to make that assembly unique, shelves, for example. Is the assembly the exact size? It all depends on how you want to work. I almost always size everything precisely. My assembly is, this one is 60 by 36 by 25, and that's what it's going to be. The same thing with the project. I make them exactly what I need, because then I avoid the problem of trying to put a 61-inch console into a 60-inch opening in the wall. But again, that's my preference. All right, so we have the assembly. There are, sort of the order of work or the tasks in SketchList are to add boards to assemblies. That's the bottom line. When I developed the idea of SketchList, my mental model of how this would work is replicating what I would do in the shop. Now, the order of things in the shop is a little different because I have to cut, buy the material. But in terms of assembling, this is just the same. I grab a board, I put it where I want it to be in the assembly, and then I make changes to the specifics of that board to meet its purpose or function in the design. Assemblies, so I'm going to do the board. Now the board is, got someone in the room. John, I'm sorry, I didn't notice you come in. Apologize for the delay in getting you in. Welcome. So the board, it's it's essential to the idea behind SketchList, because SketchList isn't a drawing program. It's a modeling program. And what that means is we're building things out of virtual 3D models. And for purposes of the reporting of the cut list, the optimizer, and even just showing the boards in the three-dimensional model, we need to have certain information about that board, what material is taken from, and so on. One primary rule in SketchList is you have to be at the proper level of the hierarchy, of the nesting, to work there. So I just clicked that bath vanity. Now I'm at the project level. You see my workbench or my floor. And if I come down here and click this, oops, let me try it here. Click here. There. Click there. I'm in the assembly, and that's where I want to work. So you can't put boards into the project. You have to put boards into the assembly. So my first board, that icon on the upper left, is here. Board name will be side left. So that's the first piece of information we're storing about the board in the database. What are we cutting that part from? Well, there's a list here of 4 potential materials. And I'll talk a little bit about materials in just a minute. But this is kind of like an inventory system, I guess, or an accounting system, where the materials you're using for this project are the most common. So they're always going to be up here. And if I added, like in Tim's grill bench, I wanted to add granite, well, I'd go to the select material, and then I would pick the material that I want to put in. So say I'm going to put in cherry. Now you'll see that cherry is the material. It's a potential material for this cabinet. And as long as I have it, I'm going to just stay with this. What do I see? This cherry is sheet goods, and here's the size. You want to be aware of that. Some common errors is somebody would pick a material that says cherry, but it might say lumber or dimension lumber, whatever the term is we use. Or they might pick sheet goods, and when over here you've got 1/4 inch, and you don't really mean 1/4 inch. So when you're checking a material, just do a visual quick check on that, and affirm that that's the material you want to use. So we've got the board name, we have the material from which the board will be cut. The next thing we're going to do is enter the dimensions. So this is the side piece, there it is. And if you think about it, I'm looking from the front of the assembly. So what is the width of that piece of plywood? Well, it's 3/4. 3/4. 3/4 inches wide. I'm going to say it will be 36 inches tall. And the depth will be, let's say 25 right now. Okay, those aren't exactly what I want, but I'm going to go with that. The next piece of information is which of these dimensions represents the thickness of the plywood. Well, that has to be that one, right? And you'll see now this icon, this visual clue, shows you that there's, that's what the sideboard looks like. Final piece of information is how does the grain run? I'm just going to say the grain runs the height up and down. That is running the depth, so the grain is running that way. Okay, and it doesn't really make sense to have the grain. There's no grain in the thickness. Now, a thing that we added just a while back, and it's not worth taking out. I don't really know if it was a good idea, but once you create the board, you should locate it in the assembly. I've got all kinds of things happening here. And I don't know. So I'm going to say, well, I want to have that left side be, that side piece be a 1/2 inch indented like that. And I'm just going to, and there's my board. And you see that there's that 1/2 inch gap in there. Okay. And there's the board. If I want to change anything about the board, there are 3 tools. And we use these 3 tools constantly and repetitively in SketchList. We have the dots, and they're blue dots and red dots. We have the calculator on the right side here, and we have the spreadsheet. They're all integrated. Any change I make to any one of those locations or sizes for this board are immediately shown in all 3 tools. What I might want to do, for example, now I'm looking at this and saying, well, you know, there's going to be a face frame in front of this. So I don't really want to have the front of this board have a value of 0, because that means there's no room for the face frame. So I want to kick that back 3/4 of an inch. Again, 3 ways to do it. One way is the red dot. Right click that red dot, change its front value from 0 to 3/4, and there you go. Now I have room for the face frame. And I can just as easily put it back. So the resizing is either making things bigger or making things smaller. To use the calculator, what I can do is find the value for front here, enter the 3/4. And what do I want to change? Well, I don't want to change the back, because I'm going to keep the back at the back of the cabinet. So I'm really going to change the depth of the board. And the depth means the distance between the front and the back. So this is a calculator. I click that value there. Oops. Click that value there. And now the front becomes 20. The front becomes 3/4. The depth is 24 1/4. And the same way, I can just change that right back to what it was. Enter one value and click. These are buttons. So I'm going to click the depth button there, and it comes back to 25. The spreadsheet is exactly the same function, but what it does, as we add more boards to this cabinet, this will show you all the boards in one spot. So you can work in context, and I'll show you that when I put the bottom shelf in. To use this, just the same way, I change 3/4 like that. And now you see these buttons get highlighted in green. I'm going to change the depth like that. So those are buttons, calculator, and spreadsheet. Now the blue dots, the red dots are resizers, the blue dots are locators. If I right click this, say I set that board when I originally put it into the assembly, I set that board 1/2 inch indented from the left. I really wanted that to be a 1/4 inch, because I'm going to have the style on that side overlap by that 1/4 inch. So I right click the blue dot, I change the left value of that point to a 1/4 inch, and there it is. And you notice, if you look in the calculator, it's a 1/4 inch. And if you look at the spreadsheet, it's a 1/4 inch. So that's a stopping point for my tea and your questions. Anybody, we're going to go over this again and again and again, but it is the backbone of designing in SketchList. So be clear with it. We all have clarity, like a Zen meeting. That's good. The next, no, so you know, if you're going to build something up a lot of boards, well, you know, that might become a bit tedious. But there are tools where I could take this and I can make copies of it, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But I want to stay on the board concept to show you the two other ways that boards are placed. If I put the bottom board in, what I do is click the new board form, say bottom. Okay. I'm going to make it out of that same, well, yeah. I'm going to make it out of that same cherry material. Now the width, and this is, I guess it really depends on how you work. You can, you know, if I put that right side on, you can do a little math and figure out what the space is between on the inside of those two side pieces. But you don't have to be that particular about it. I'm just going to say I'm going to guess it's a 12-inch. I know that's not right, but there it is. The height of this sheet of plywood is at 3/4, and the depth will be 20-some inches. Again, I don't need to be specific. Which of these is the thickness? There it is. Which is the grain direction? That is that. Now what I want to do, and this might make me keep the locate function here, or at least use it, I noticed that in the spreadsheet, when I look at the item name side left, its right value is 1. If I want to have this board butt against that board, that has to be 1. So I can do that. And I know, because I've already gone through that exercise, the front of the sideboard is 3/4, so I can make this 3/4 like that. And perhaps I want to take that off the bottom by, say, 4 inches like that. So when I add the board, there it is. Now it's not quite right, and it's, you know, it's not ready for consumption because I've taken the step of inserting it and really locating it. I skipped the third step in sizing it. There's 3 steps to SketchList: insert, size, and locate. So I'm going to let that be for a while, and we'll come back to it. And I'll show you how we use the 3 tools to properly size that. I can just see people saying, you can't leave it there. It's going to fall. You know. But this is just virtual, so it won't fall. I'm going to put the backboard on. So I say backboard. That's the back. And this time I'm going to take this 1/2-inch material, and I just happen to use Ashlight because it's a stylish flare. Again, I'm not that concerned about this exact size, but it is a 1/2-inch deep because the material is a 1/2 inch thick. So that gives it away. This is the thickness going that way, right? And the grain direction is going to go the height like that. The left, again, be 1 inch from the left. The bottom, I look at the top of that item name called bottom. Its top is 4 3/4. So this is going to be 4 3/4. And the front, again, I'm not going to fool around with that and do that math. You can do it, but it's not the way I work. So I'm going to put that board in, and it's inserted. It's neither sized or located. Okay, so we're in this kind of state where boards are falling all over the shop floor, but we're gonna fix that. And there we go. We're gonna fix that. And I'm doing it this way because I want to show you the utilities and the tools in this. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that board, which is side left, and I'm going to use a tool called clone and mirror. Because what I want to do is I want to have, this is a 1/4 inch from the left. I want the right side board to be a 1/4 inch from the right. If I do clone and mirror, that happens. And this assembly is 36 inches wide. And you'll see that the right board, its right side is a 1/4 inch. Or, all right, a word about measuring. It's a 1/4 inch from that right side. All the measurements in SketchList happen here. I do this. Did I not do it? Yeah, I did it. There it is. All of the measurements happen from that corner where front, left, and bottom are equal to 0. If I want to put that board over to the right, what I have to say is the left edge of that board is 59 inches from the left edge of the assembly. So it's 59 to the left edge. It's 3/4 of an inch thick. That's 59 3/4. And there is a 1/4 inch overlap for the right style, which gives me a total of 36. All the measuring happens from there. Just thought I'd mention that. If I go back into the assembly now, look at this, say, well, now what do I want to do? Well, I'm going to take the board that I called bottom, and I'm going to butt it up against, by stretching that board, I'm going to butt it up against this. Oh, you got to pass that around, John. I'm gonna butt this bottom part against there. So what does that mean, kind of in our, use your words, David? What that means is the left edge of this is 59 inches from that corner. The left edge has a value of 59. If I want this to butt up against that, its right edge, right click, its right edge has to be 59. If I do that like that, boom, and there it is. So that's using the red dot. Here, the back is 25. I can just simply take that dot and drag it out, and that'll come out. So you'll see the back in the calculator here, the back of that board is 25. But I could have used a calculator or the spreadsheet to do that kind of thing. And then finally, I'm going to now size and locate the backboard. And this is, I think, a kind of a cool trick. What I'm going to do is, and again, using my words, what that means to locate this, is I want this board, I want the back lower corner on the left of this board to end up at that point right there, that point. Make this a little bit bigger. At that top point, not the bottom, the top. The blue dots locate. Take that, right click it, and I'm simply going to copy the values 1, 4 3/4, 25 of that board. Come here and take that blue dot. I'm having a difficult time with my mouse. There it is. And I'm going to paste those values I had copied. This is 1, 4 3/4, and 25. Now that pops exactly where I wanted it. Okay, just do a quick visual. Yep, that's where it is. Again, I can take the red dot and stretch it. That's a valid technique, and it's the fastest way to do that. Instead, this time, because I want to show how to use the spreadsheet a little bit, I'm going to come down and work on a spreadsheet. So I can highlight that, if I right click, say I want to highlight that row, just so it stands out a little bit when I'm working. Getting back to the concept or to our words, what would it take to take this back piece and put it between the left and right sides? Best tip of the night, whenever you clone something, rename it. Because when you get to the part list, you'll have 50 parts saying side 01, side 49, side 50. You have no idea what you're doing. So it's really a good practice to rename things as you're going along. To the words, what I am saying here, I'm interested in changing the width such that it fits between the right and the left side. So the left side of this board, well, it's already located. You see it's 1. The right side of this board, the side left, is 1. So that's already done. I want to fix the right side here. So the right side, that side right there, if I right click it, see it's now has a value of 13. The left side of this board, the inside of that board, has a value of 59. Okay, I turn that into 59. Now there for a second. My choices of stretching are either left or width. Well, left, we agreed that was settled. It's 1 inch from the left. So I'm going to click the column heading width, and boom, there you go. Okay, and that's why the spreadsheet is there, and that's how I use it. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about spreadsheet, and like 3 or 4 people texted, "Oh, that's how I design completely, just in the spreadsheet." So that works for them. I use all 3, and I couldn't even tell you which I use the most. The calculator is used when you're just interested in one thing. But even here, I'd go back to the spreadsheet because the top of the sides are 36. The top of the backboard becomes 36 like that. And what do I want to change? Well, I don't want to change the bottom at 4 3/4 because that's where I want it. But if I click the column heading height like that, now we have pretty much what we want to have, just like that.
Maybe for the new users, obviously that piece of board now in your parts list is just going to fall into the inside. So we would normally put rabbets around the perimeter, so the board would be a 1/2 inch wider and maybe a 1/2 inch higher, just so that your new users know you could do that. Rabbets around on those boards, some joints.
Yep, exactly. Thank you. There's two parts to that. So what I want to do is take that, and Dan, I'm gonna do that right now. Take this and note that the front of this board is 24.5. Well, I set the bottom board in before I put the backboard in. So, what I'm seeing is that the backboard is actually sitting on top of that. And if this was going to be nailed against that backboard, well, I'd do that a little different. I'd set this at 24.5, like this. And notice the bottom of that board is 4 inches. So take this and 4 inch that. So this bottom is 4 like that. So I'm just gonna, nail it up against there. But then I say, well, what do I want to do for the sides? I don't want to nail it against the sideboards. There's 2 parts of that. One is I can take this sideboard and go into the details of the board, and that's here. I select the board I want to work with, click the detail level, and there it is. Now, at the board detail level, the board has 2 surfaces, and it has, in this case, 4 edges. I take that back edge like that, just select it, just verify. Yeah, that's the back edge. Sometimes when I'm doing this, I put the rabbit on the front and think, oh no, didn't mean that. Then I click the joinery button, got the back edge selected. You see it's still in green and it's still the back. And I'm going to put the rabbit in like that. And just zoom a little here. Now what you see is that that's the left. So first off, the rabbit is facing the wrong way. It's facing the left edge. I want it to face the right, so I just click that. And here I can make adjustments. How deep is that rabbit? Well, it tends to, I think the default is 1/3. If I wanted that to be 3/8, that is this number 1 value. So I could say 3/8 like that. And that's just become deeper. I don't know if it was, we could see that or not. And just say save.
Yeah, you should have it 1/2 inch because it's your plywood is 1/2, right?
Sure. Yeah, I was going with the 3/4.
Yeah, not that big a deal. We know what you mean.
Yeah. No, you're right. So I'm going to do 1/2 inch. You're right. That's a good correction. Thank you. And just so we made that modification. Yeah, it looks like it's about 1/4 inch left there. Now, what's kind of cool about this, I can go in here, for example, and I can put pinholes. So I'm going to assign some holes on circles, and I don't really work with this. So I know people say, oh, well, it's got to be 4 1/8 inch to be there. Well, okay. But this is say, I'm going to make it 1/2 inch. I know it's a real big hole, but I want it to be visible. 1/2 inch, and the depth would be 3/8, say, like that. So now I've got 1 pinhole. If I go into the holes editing of the spreadsheet, I right-click this, say I'm going to clone and space holes. I'm going to go from the bottom, maybe 8 holes. Space between the holes is 4 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, that's too many. So I'm going to go 7. Maybe even the space is too much. So what it does is if you don't have enough room for your holes, it's not going to cut the holes. And now we see the holes. Big, you need to buy really big shelf pins. Might be keeping your gold in there or something. You do the same thing on the back. When I'm done, come back up to the assembly level. Now here's kind of a cool thing about clone and mirror. You take that board, delete it, because it's wrong at this point. Take this board, oops. What I did was, I think I just dragged that red dot and it messed things up. So don't drag the red dot. But here I'm going to clone and mirror this. And now you see the pinholes are here. And if you looked at this, you see that the rabbit's there. You can barely make it out. Now, how to size this backboard is a subject of some debate in this community. There are those who would take this board and add whatever the depth is, 1/2 inch. They would add 1/2 inch on either end. That's, that's perfect, great. I tend not to do that with this because when I get to the parts list, I've been confused. I look at something and say, no, that board's 36 inches between here and there, and I've got it at 36 7/8. I made a mistake. So I don't prefer that way. It's faster, but for me and my mind is always too cluttered and it's just too much at one time. So I go back into the board details, take this edge, hold down the shift key and spin that, and take that edge. Now I add more joinery, and I'm going to add the tenon. And I am just going to put in whatever it was. I'm going to put in a 1/2 inch because I forget. And here I want to have that go all the way. So I'm going to set the A value in, no, that's not what I meant. This will be a 1/2 inch and Z is a 1/2 inch. So now I can save that. And you see that there's an extender on left and right. How do we know that? Because when I generate the cut list, the distance between that point and this point, far left to far right, is whatever the width of this board is, 58 plus a 1/2 there, a 1/2 there. The cut width of this board is 59. The nominal or design width of this board is 58, and it'll show up as such in the cut list. If you have a hobby version, you will only see the cut values. If you have no tenons, and I believe a tenon is the only joint in SketchList that actually lengthens a board. If you have no tenons, then you'll see 58. If you put 2 1/2 inch tenons, you'll see 59. In the professional version, you do a parts list and you have the option of displaying both the nominal and the cut list and the cut width. That was a big chunk. Does anybody want to go back through that? Did I manage to lose someone in there?
No, but Dave, why couldn't you just make the board 59 to begin with?
Well, it's what I said at the beginning. You can.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. It's just a matter of preference.
Mm-hmm.
It's faster that way. I have sometimes gotten confused, and I've worked. You know where I find that to be a little bit confusing is if someone sends in a project with a review or something, then it's just my preference.
Sure, I understand. Okay.
Other people disagree with me and they do it their way, and it's their project, their software. I've seen a lot of interesting ways that people do things since I've been in this business, and it's kind of refreshing.
That's what I like about SketchList. There's more than one way to do something.
That everybody has a certain way to do things, and that we try to hold that has to be central to what we do. So then there you see, it's pretty clear. You see that there's there it is. Okay. I had a person recently who was looking at how to apply face frames, and he not only did he put a rabbit in down the inside here, and he did something on the style, I don't know what, but he had kind of a stretcher between these two, and he cut a notch in, he put the stretcher in, so the rabbit appeared to come like up the side, notched in and notched up, and he was just as happy as a clam because that's exactly what he wanted to do. So there's a lot to learn, a lot to go with on that.
Dave, a quick question. That back panel, because the sheet that we picked is only 48 inches wide, and this is 59, and we did put the grain up and down. So is that going to give us a problem in the optimizer?
Won't optimize. Thank you. Good catch.
Okay.
Now, somebody had, see it. Okay, so here it is, the back. Okay. And it wouldn't do it. Now, someone last week asked the question that whether or not we're checking on every resize, because we check. That should have been caught. It would have got caught in the new board form, except I put the new board form in 12 by 12, and then I stretched it. Well, eventually what I'll do is I'll apply check this against material rule to the resizes. I didn't do it initially I never thought of it, to be honest. And then when I thought about it, I just wondered a little bit what it would do to overall performance. So, but it needs to be done. So if I come in here and say, all right, the grain's going to run that way, and there's a quick solution to that. But that was a good catch. Thank you. My next piece, again, clone. So I say, let's say clone in space. This is another from the bottom. Now here, I want SketchList to calculate that. Let's see if this works. Or do I? Yeah. I want SketchList to calculate how far to move that. And I want it to move such that the top of the board that I'm cloning is going to be 36 inches from the bottom. So like that. And there you go. At first, for new SketchList users, you're looking at this, creating a board every time, entering all those values, saying, oh, wow. But as you saw here, I really only created 3 boards. And it looked a little funny in the beginning. And then I just started using the tools to, to make it work. And I can do the same thing with the shelf if I wanted. Here, put this away. Okay. So this is actually not correct. The left of this has to be 1 1/4 because the right of that is 1 1/4. So the left of this had to be 1 1/4. So it's 1.25 using the calculator. Going to do that. Just going to check this one. The left of that is 58 3/4. The right of that is 59. So somehow I made a mistake like that. And the same thing would apply up here. But what I can do is just delete that, take that, clone in space from the bottom, calculate for me, please. So it ends up at 36 inches from the bottom, like that. That looks better. Okay, we just went through a chunk of things. Anything I can clarify or go back over like that?
Dave, how did you highlight that yellow line on the spreadsheet again?
I right click, choose highlight, and then just unhighlight.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Hey, Dave, so that backboard, if you put a tenon on there, it extends it, but you could have also put a rabbet on there, correct? And it would not have?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. And then I would have to play with the width so it worked. You'll know when you get it all built out and you go to glue it, and if the backboard falls off, you screwed up the design.
Yeah, but then it's a little late.
All you have to do then is cut make the top and the bottom a little less wide, and come on, we've all done that. Well, I've done it.
And just a quick little question. The holes for the pegs, shelf supports, can you delete that bottom hole?
Yep.
Do you have to go on both boards to delete it, or can you delete it in one because it was cloned?
No, you have to do both.
Okay.
So all you do is you go in the board detail, take that side, do the whole spreadsheet, and I'd have to, again, would have been nice to name these, but I'm guessing that that's 5 inches. That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah.
Okay. And now if I come back to the assembly level, there it is.
Yeah. Nice.
Now I can take, if I go back into the assembly level, right? Take that, delete it, take this, clone and mirror it, and now you're set.
So nice.
Okay. I'm not going to put the face frame on. The face frame is the same as the backboard in terms of orientation and such. And I'm not going to follow this through, but so what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for solid material and just select solid and I'm going to do this. It's going to be ugly, but I want to make them different colors so we can see this. So the width is 2, height is 36. I don't care. I'm going to make it 30. Depth is 3/4. And that's the thickness. That looks like face frame. Grain direction is going to run the height top to bottom. And I'm going to leave it all, the rest there. Okay. And do is take that. And I'm not going to be too, I just took that red dot and dragged it up. Take that, take that board, clone and mirror it. I said I wasn't going to do the frame, but I guess I am. So I take the face frame. Now you notice that that material is there. It's still there because it's used in the project. I don't have to reselect it. Call this a rail. In the width, I'm going to guesstimate. Height will be 2. Depth is the same. It's 3/4, which is the thickness. The width is that. Now this left is going to be 2. The bottom is, I don't know what, 4. And I'm going to add that board. I guess. So the top of that is 4 3/4. The top of this is 4 3/4, going down this way. I take that red dot, just grab it, holding down the shift key, bring it out here. Like that. Take this, clone and mirror. And by this time, let me say that, by this time, I know enough about the project after an hour in it. I know that the top is 36, so I don't have to even take the time it would take me to go through clone and mirror. It's just there. Okay, now we're kind of like on the roll. We're in that last, I don't know, half mile of the race or whatever. But take this and clone it. So I just clone. I call it style middle, like that. I take this board and I take something I hadn't anticipated. I'm going to take style middle and just shove it over a little bit because I want to grab this board, hold down the shift key, grab that board, use the align tool and center that like that. Now, if I take that red dot, bring it up, holding down the shift key, bring it down, take the red dot, bring it down, hold the shift key and bring it back up. Now I have my middle style. Okay. And then we can start putting in the board, the drawers and the doors. I'm going to, I said I wasn't going to do the style of the face room, and I did. I'm going to pop the drawer in because right now everybody in this meeting knows how to make a drawer. It's insert, size, and locate. Insert, size, and locate, insert, size, and locate. So I've inserted it. And I'm going to take that blue dot and copy it. And then take this blue dot and paste that value like that. I made a mistake. And take that blue dot and copy it. I think I reversed those. I think I pasted. So I want to take the drawer and paste that there. So now that's kind of anchored that for me. I'm going to use my tape measure tool and go from that point to that point, and it's 27 inches. Shoot, I have a better idea. I'm going to take that and move it an inch to the left. So it's 26 inches, just like that. So half of that is 13. So I'll take the right value of that, make it 13 like that. Now I'm just building out the three-dimensional nature of the drawer. This will be a depth of 18, like that. This will be a height of however big the drawer is going to be. It's a 10-inch drawer down there. Now what you have is you have another container. We go into the drawer level. I double click that. SketchList said there's all kinds of things I can present to you. Which do you want? I want the drawer. Now I'm at the drawer level. Now here, go back to boards and insert size and locate. Make out that drawer. You know how to do that. In terms of question on drawer slides, so I'm going to go to the drawer level. I keep saying I'm not going to do things that I do, but so I do the front. Going to make it out of this cherry. The width, I think, is 11. I don't think, I know because it's in my spreadsheet. The height is 10. That's in my spreadsheet. The depth is 3/4, like this. Say that's the width. I want the grain to go that way, like that. So there's my board. Now, if I want to put on drawer slides, I'd put in a sideboard. And the side is same stuff. The width in this case is 3/4. The height, say, is going to be 6. The depth will be the depth of the drawer, which is 18. That's my thickness. That's my grain direction. And this will be a half, because I want to kick that over a half from the, to make room for the drawer slide. And in fact, what I want is I want this to be 3/4, so it sits on the back of that front panel. So this is just going to have to be less than that. So I do it, add a board, and there's my side. Now, if I wanted to put the drawer slide in, what I would do is I would just put another piece of wood there if I needed it. I wouldn't do it because I know how to install a drawer slide. I know, or maybe a better answer is probably have some kind of jig or fixture, whatever they're called, put it up there, mark the holes, and you'll be all set. So you don't really need to take the time in design, and nobody cares about the drawer slide except the person that's putting the drawers in. So I'm going to clone and mirror like that, and we are on our way to having the drawer in the assembly. Now I can take that drawer and clone and space it. This time I want to go to the left, and the space amount. This is that's too small. Everybody sees that. Everybody knows that. We're going to fix that, but it's not. It's too small. But if you hold a cursor in there, you can do it. So I will clone that, and there's my drawer. So now, oops, made a mistake. I screwed up the width of the drawer. Next topic. I'm going to then take this and realize the width of this should have been 13 instead of the right. So if I right click that like that, now if I clone and mirror it, Control Z undoes it. I want to clone and space that. And I'll put an eighth in between them like that. Okay, now I have what I should have had in the first place. It was a mental error like that. Take that and clone and space it over here. I can take this and clone and space it again, clone it and space it to the left. This time I want to have it be 2 like that. And there you go. Do it again and do it again and again. The point is that there's a tool for almost anything, And as you begin, you're going to put a little more of an investment front end, and then you just start using the tools and become automatic with this. Okay. That I'm going to do that I think is important to everyone. If I come back to the project level and say like this, I made a mistake because the front of this assembly needs to be kicked back 3 inches because I'm going to put some molding across the top or whatever. There's 2 ways to do that. One way is if I right click that red dot and say the depth is 22. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Sorry. What I want to do is come in here and I want to actually add some space to the front of this assembly. I can't do that right now because the project is the same size as the depth of the assembly. So I come to the project level. Project level, the dimensions, and I'm going to make this a little bit deeper. So make this 30 like that. The project just got deeper. Then I can take this, and there is a function called add space. And I want to add space toward the back, I think. Yeah, toward the back. I want to put in 3 inches there, like that. And that pink veil, whatever it is, line or plane, that's where the movement's going to happen. So in this case, everything behind that pink curtain is going to be pushed back by 3 inches. And there, now you have room for your.
Dave, how did you get to that add space?
Okay, so it's project level, right?
Right?
And what I did was I clicked the add space button.
Oh, got it. Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And the reason there's an add space is because of this. Everything moves away from the point of origin like that. But if I wanted to simply make this bigger, and it moves away from the point of origin and it moves at the tip of this arrow. So if I simply said, make this assembly 3 inches deeper, it would have taken that back value and added 3 to it. And all you would have is, well, I think I can do that. Let's get out of this. You might be tempted to say, well, that assembly has to be deeper. So I'm going to say the back is 30, like that, changing the depth. And you see, that's not the result I wanted because, well, it might be. I might wanted some extra room back there, but I really wanted to move everything, create the space on the front. So if you're using the tools, the resizing is always going to be happening at the tip of the arrow. If you want to resize things, which you could either make it bigger or smaller. You can either red dot change and resize there, or resize using the add space or the resize functions. Coming kind of close to the end of things. Any questions